All right, this is an introduction to functions. And the way that you've heard of functions before is probably something like a machine, where you've got, it's going to look really weird. And I guess I should make this look a little different too. Okay, so some sort of machine, the machine is the function, or function, sorry. And then you can put something into it, so we call this an input, and then it spits out some sort of output. So that's probably how you've seen it before, and we can actually talk about it like that. But basically what a function is, it's a rule to generate ordered pairs, or a rule that will generate things that can be graphed. Remember, ordered pairs would be those XY pairs that you can put on a coordinate plane. So that's basically what it's talking about. And so that means functions can be graphed, basically, and we'll get into that. And functions are going to be a huge topic for us this year, so this is just an introduction. But basically, if we think about x and y, for every x input, there should be a y output in a function anyway. There will be some circumstances where we have some interesting things going on. We'll talk about those this year. But here's an example of a function, y equals 10x plus 5. So for instance, x is the input, and let's say I wanted to figure out what y is when x is 2. Well, if I want to figure out what y is when x equals 2, then I'm going to input 2 for x. So I'm going to have 10 times 2 plus 5. And then we use the order of operations to solve that. So 10 times 2 is 20, multiplication first, and then we add on 5 and we get 25. Okay. So when x is 2, we get an output of 25. And that's what we can do with functions. All right, so this is a word problem dealing with the character artists. They draw, or they'll make drawings of people's faces, oftentimes at fairs and things like that. But this particular artist charges clients a $5 setup fee plus $10 for every person in the picture. First, let's write a rule for the artist fee. Okay, so the inputs is going to be how many people there are. All right, that's going to determine the price. Okay, the price is y, so y will be the total amount of money we need to spend, or that will be spent. This is total, and x will be number of people, and that can vary. Okay, so we're going to say y equals. Well, it's going to be $10 per person, so 10 times x, but you get charged $5 no matter what for the setup. Here we go. All right, meaning then we can figure out some ordered pairs, and that's what they want us to do here. Figure out the ordered pairs for 1, 2, 3, and 4 people. Well, if we have one person, then I'm going to do 10 times 1 plus 5, or 10 plus 5, which is 15. So one person will be $15. That's a point that could be graphed. If there are 2 people, that's going to be 10 times 2, which is, this is exactly the one we were just talking about, the one before. 10 times 2 is 20, so let's put 2 in there, plus 5 is 25. All right, if we have 3 people, we're going to put 3 in here for x for the input. 10 times 3 is 30, plus 5 is 35. And you should start to see a trend here. Every person we add, the price will go up $10. And that's eventually where we're going to start talking about slope and things like that. We're not quite there yet. So if we have 4 people, then it's going to be $45. And then we have points. Okay. We'll talk about more specifics later with functions, but I want to show you 2 more examples that are a little more interesting. All right, so we are actually going to graph some different types of functions, but only for the points that they tell us to. So this one says generate ordered pairs for each function using given values for x. and then graph them and describe the pattern. Alright, so let's take this first one. The equation is y equals 2x squared plus 1. And they want us to find these different values. So here's what I do. I make a XY chart. Alright, so when x is negative 2, I'm going to put negative 2 in for x and see what I get. So 2 times negative 2 to the second power plus 1. Alright, we'll see what we get. So first we have to do the power. Remember, this means negative 2 times negative 2. And that comes out to positive 4. So this is really 2 times 4 plus 1. Or 9. 8 plus 1. Alright? And then to figure out the rest of them, we just have to change the input. So remember, next then, they want us to figure out when x equals negative 1. We just put that in for x and so on. Alright, remember this will be negative 1 times negative 1, which is just positive 1. So 2 times 1 plus 1 is going to be 3. Okay? And then my favorite one to put in is 0, because that's always the easiest one to find. So if I put 0 in for x, what do I get? Well, I get 2. 0 to the second power is 0, so 2 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1. Alright, let's start graphing and see what we see here. So these are all coordinates that we can graph. So this is back to up 9. So back to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Sorry, there might be a little bit of lag there with my voice and the pen. Alright, so that's that point. This one over the back one up 3. Right here. And then the newest point, 0, 1. Over 0 up 1. Alright. And quickly then, let's get the last two. The positive points. I usually like to check 3 points. We'll talk about that more in class. But if x is 1, then we get 2 times 1 to the second power, which is 2 plus 1, we get 3. So over 1 up 3. And then if I put in 2, I get 2 times 2 to the second plus 1. Or 2 times 4 plus 1. Again, we're going to get 9. So 2 is 9. Right here. And we get this kind of weird looking shape. This is actually called a parabola. Okay. So I do want you to have those ordered pairs. So for instance, I would love you to have that, and just make sure you know how we got these points. Just like that, okay? And then I think what I'll do is I'll just go through a couple on the last one, just to save some time. And then that'll be it. So I just want to show you how it works when you have an absolute value function. So I'm going to find, well, I'll just do it real quick. And you can come back and check it out if you need to. So actually, this one goes pretty quick anyway. Alright, so if x is negative 5, that's negative 5 plus 3, which is negative 2. But remember, we're in an absolute value, that's always going to come out positive. So this is negative 5, 2. That's that point right there. Alright, negative 4 now. The one we're going to check. Negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. But negative 1 will come out to positive 1. So negative 4, 1. So if I put in negative 3, I get negative 3 plus 3. Probably erase that. Negative 3 plus 3 is 0, and the absolute value of 0 is 0. Okay? 0 is 0 units away from 0. So negative 3, 0 is right here. What we're going to find out is that that this is going to rise back up once we put in negative 2. Alright, so negative 2 plus 3 is positive 1, and positives stay positive, so negative 2, 1, and then if I do my last point again, we're going to find out that it goes right here, and we get this V kind of shape, just like that. So we'll explore some of that tomorrow and as the year goes on. So sorry this one took a little longer, but wanted to make sure I got a good introduction to functions for you.